When we think about Remedy Entertainment's 2019 title, Control, the first thing that comes to mind is a whole lot of badassery. Destroying things has never been so satisfying, especially on those days when, say, your boss was a total jerk. We were pleasantly surprised to interact with characters that are so authentic, expressing emotions such as fear, stress, and frustration similar to how we might, like, when we get our electric bill.
Oh, fuck.
Or worst of all, when we can't find our cell phones.
Can't let this happen!
All joking aside, it's Control's combat, or rather, ability to destroy not just enemies, but everything in sight, is probably the game's biggest highlight. However, when it comes to things that aren't as intriguing, at least maybe not at first, or the literally hundreds of collectible documents strewn about the oldest house, that, while time-consuming, are worth reading if you really want to understand the secrets of the Bureau. And now, the Remedy Connected Universe, despite the heavy redactions.
They blacked it out!
Today we want to focus on altered items, two in particular, the Arctic Queen refrigerator and the Burrow tractor, because, despite our best efforts, we couldn't find either one. We thought we had found the refrigerator, but there was just one problem. It doesn't match the description in the FBC's documents, like, at all. So let's take a look at the documentation on these two items, starting with Her Royal Highness. First, some background. A 60s model Arctic Queen brand electric refrigerator was acquired by the FBC on November 18, 1974, after the collapse of the New York City Grand Hotel, where it served as an appliance in an apartment being rented by a man whose name has been redacted. Somehow, the refrigerator survived the collapse completely unharmed, but sadly, his young son, Michael, did not survive. According to the document titled FBC Containment Procedure, the Arctic Queen is kept on the 4th floor of the Panopticon in Unit 15. The same containment unit where we meet Philip, an FBC employee who has been on what the Panopticon supervisor Langston refers to as fridge duty. Langston explains to Jesse that he had forgotten about Philip in the midst of the Hiss invasion, and by the time Jesse finds him, he had been watching the fridge for over a day. Those on fridge duty have to maintain hours of ocular contact. In other words, they have to stare at it without looking away. If the employee does look away, even for a second, the fridge can kill them, though it isn't explained exactly how.
With Jesse's help, we tried to figure out what happens when the fridge isn't being watched. Our experiment yielded no clear answer. Philip had unfortunately been attacked by the fridge before she could enter the room, but his body is nowhere to be found, just a smear of blood on the floor. It isn't clear what happened to him, though it is later speculated by Langston that he was possibly sent to the astral plane. If you choose to do the fridge duty mission, Jesse will be sent to the astral plane during the cleansing process, where a mini-boss battle with a one-eyed bug thing, aka Former, awaits.
From what we could gather in the collectible documents, the FBC had taken disciplinary action against an agent, Philip Filson, for physically and apparently verbally abusing a refrigerator in a staff kitchen after it somehow ruined his lunch. What exactly happened to his lunch is redacted, but there's nothing to suggest that his contempt for refrigerators had anything to do with what happened to him on fridge duty. There are additional documents called non-official correspondence that provide some additional information about Philip, including a book he had read in which a character experiences circumstances that are eerily similar to his last day on the job. Collectible documents, including part of an interview with the former owner of the Arctic Queen, provides us with several interesting details. Again, that is, the Arctic Queen, which is not the same refrigerator that Philip and Jesse encounter. The refrigerator being held in the Panopticon is called Royal Fridge.
Looking at this side-by-side comparison of the Arctic Queen and the Royal Fridge, we can see that the shape is completely different. The Arctic Queen actually looks more modern, while the Royal Fridge appears to be the older of the two. In the FBC photo, there is a label, likely the brand name of the fridge, but the picture quality is too poor to make out what it says. However, this inconsistency is much less puzzling than the written description. In the Containment Procedures document, it is noted that the door of the Arctic Queen is decorated with crayon illustrations that cannot be removed. They cannot be torn or even burned off. Sounds like a big deal, right? Unfortunately, the FBC didn't think so, because their picture only shows the inside of the fridge. You cannot see the drawings, which is an important identifying feature. However, the Royal Fridge is decorated with crayon illustrations. Only one problem. It appears that the drawings can be removed. It's really hard to see because of the brightness, So we cranked it down all the way and can clearly see that there is a drawing on the floor of the base of the fridge. And honestly, it's actually a bit disturbing. There's what looks to be 2 children trapped in a burning house and 2 adults standing in front of the house, looking extremely terrified. The most likely assumption would be that they are the parents of the 2 children of the burning house.
We have yet to find solid proof that Jesse did in fact encounter the Arctic Queen, or if the documents were falsified or misleading, and if so, why? Speaking of misleading, what about the Burrow tractor? We found that the FBC documentation also seems somewhat misleading, or at the very least, incomplete. They claim that this brutal piece of farm equipment, an olive green Frank Elk tractor, killed the owner, William Burrow, and that the FBC agents, as well as local law enforcement, witnessed the machine operating itself and growling like a bear, as one agent put it. 3 agents were injured while trying to detain the tractor, and it did manage to escape. The containment procedure document includes an acquisition date of 4/21/19, but notes that the tractor was only seen and not acquired, and that aerial searches are ongoing. So, this incident happened in April, but the game takes place near the end of October. That would mean that the FBC has been chasing this item down for months. Think of the destruction that thing must have caused over a 6-month period, and all of the news stories there must have been. Yet no one in the Bureau speaks of it. However, it just so happens that there might be a good reason for that. Langston loves to talk to everyone, including himself. If you hang around him long enough to catch all of his chatter, then you may have heard him say this.
At least the tractor didn't get out.
Okay, so we now know that the FBC is in possession of a tractor, but what we don't know is if it's the one from the Burrow case or if it's another tractor, because, unsurprisingly, we never get to see it. Seriously, I checked every nook and cranny in the Panopticon more than once, and it ended up being a complete waste of time. We don't know how long the tractor that Langston mentioned has been in the possession of the FBC, but if it is the Burrow tractor, they managed to detain it and transport it to the oldest house from Texas sometime between April 21st and October 29th. Of course, it's possible that if the Bureau does have the Burrow tractor, the documents just weren't updated.
2019 was a busy year. Aside from the tractor incident, the FBC acquired the typewritten page altered item. Dr. Underhill was brought in to deal with the mold. The likelihood that the Willow AWE happened that same year is reasonably high. Director Trench was losing it. Dr. Darkling wasn't doing much better. The His invasion occurred, and assuming it was still 2019 during the DLC AWE, the Bureau received an AWE alert from Bright Falls. And of course, we can't forget about the new director. So that's it. That's all we know. Actually, that's not true. We have tons more to share. Not just facts from the game, but ideas and theories that we're excited to discuss. Let us know what subjects you'd like more content on. Also, if there's anything we overlooked or something important we failed to mention, let us know in the comments. We enjoy and welcome the feedback. Also, just a heads up, we have plenty more Remedy content on the way, especially Alan Wake 2, so don't miss out. Thanks for watching! Darkling Alley, out.